Hello students, good morning to all of you. Welcome to this particular class. Today's topic is determination of equilibrium, level of income, output and employment. Determination of equilibrium, level of income, output and employment. Before this, I have already said, according to J.M. Keynes, that the main two components, one is aggregate demand and another is aggregate supply. According to J.M. Keynes, aggregate demand equal to consumption plus investments and aggregate supply equal to consumption plus saving. We have already discussed that aggregate demand equal to consumption plus investments and aggregate supply equal to consumption plus supply. So according to Keynes, equilibrium level of income or employed, equilibrium level of income can be determined by the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Equilibrium level of income and employment can be determined by that aggregate demand and aggregate supply. And where the AD equal to AS, that is to be called as equilibrium positions. Or that is known as effective demand. That is known as effective demand. So John Maynard Keynes or J.M. Keynes says that equilibrium position can be determined of income and employment and output where the aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply. Dear students, we have already known that components of aggregate demand and the components of the aggregate supply. So aggregate demand is the total summation of the consumption plus investments, and aggregate supply is the total consumption plus saving. Suppose income, which is Y, zero level of income. And as per my examples, or at that time, employment is also zero. And consumption expenditure C is 100 and I will be minus 100 towards of rupees. This employment in lakhs. Income is 0, employment is 0 lakh, consumption is 100 and investment is 100. If that income increases 0 to 100, suppose employment is 10 lakh and consumption is 150 and investment is 100. Investment is 100. I was discussing about the investment, that investment is autonomous investments investment is divided into two parts. One is autonomous investments, another is induced investments. Autonomous investment and induced investment. This is autonomous investment. It means the investment will remain same, whatever may be the level of income. So that time, the autonomous investment curve will be like this: with zero level of income, 100 crores of rupees; 100 level of income, 100 crores rupees; 200 level of income, 100 crores. It means whatever may be the income, Y0 investment is 100 crores. 100 crores rupees, 100 crores of investment. 200 crores rupees income, 100 crores will be investment. 300 crores of rupees, 100 crores will be investment. 400 crores of rupees, 100 crores will be investment. Whatever may be the income, investment will remain same. That is to be called that autonomous investment. So that autonomous investment curve will be that parallel to y-axis. But induced investment says when income increases, investment increases. Income increases, investment increases. Suppose Y is 0, investment is 100. Y is 100, 110. Y is 200, 120. Y is 300, 130. Y is 400, 140. So like this case, that investment curve will be like this. This is the induced investment, idea is the induced investment curve, and this is the autonomous investment curve. So in our analysis, according to Jenkins, the investment will remain same. So whenever zero level of income, employment is 0 lakh, consumption is 100, but investment will remain 700, and saving will be minus 100. Because we have already discussed y equal to C plus S. Y equal to C plus S, or after the consumption, whatever the income, the remaining portion is to be called the saving. So y minus C equal to S, because y equal to C plus S, therefore S equal to y minus C. So that is that 0 minus 100 equal to minus 100. When that income increases 0 to 100 crore rupees, employment is 10 lakh, consumption is 150, investment is 100, then that Y minus C equal to saving will be minus 50. Similarly, income increases 200 crore rupees, employment increases 20 lakh, and consumption is 200, investment is 100, and saving is 0. Because we have already discussed all these tables, that is why I am drawing directly. You must know, if you have any doubt, you will go through that last period what we were discussing in that consumption and saving and consumption and investments in the components of the aggregate demands. So 300 level of income, consumption, employment is suppose increases 30 lakhs and consumption is 250, investment remains same, so 300 minus 257 will be 50. Similarly, 400 level of income, if income increases to 400 crores of rupees, employment increases 30 lakhs to 40 lakhs, and the consumption is 300 and investment is 100 and saving is also 100 crores rupees. Similarly, if income increases 400 to 500, employment is 50 lakhs, consumption will be 350, this will be 100 and this will be 500 minus 350 equal to 150 crores rupees. If income increases 500 to 600 rupees, employment increases 60 lakh rupees, it will be 400 and investment will remain same, that 100 crores rupees, and 600 minus 400 equal to 200. Similarly, if income increases 700 crores rupees, 70 lakh employments, this will get 450. This investment will remain same and saving will be 250. These are the numerical data which I have given here is that imaginary data. So, as per things we have already known, aggregate demand equal to consumption plus investments. We have already known consumption plus investment equal to aggregate demand. See it. Consumption plus investment equal to aggregate demand. So here is the 100 plus 100 equal to consumption plus investment 200. 100 plus 100 equal to 200. In zero level of income, employment is 0 lakh, consumption is 100, investment is 100, so consumption plus investment equal to aggregate demand 200. Similarly, in 100 level of income, consumption is 150 and investment is 100, so that will the total aggregate demand will be 250. Get the 200 level of incomes, 20 lakh employments, 200 consumption and investment is 100. 200 plus 100 equal to 300 is the aggregate demand. Similarly, 300 level of income, employment is 30 lakhs, consumption is 250, investment is 100, that is aggregate demand 250 plus 100 equal to 350. Similarly, in case of the 400, then the consumption is 300, investment is 100, so that will be 300 plus 100 equal to 400 is the aggregate demand at the level of 400 level of income. Similarly, 500 level of income, consumption is 350, investment is 100, so that aggregate demand will be 450. 600 level of income, consumption is 400, investment is 100. That is at 400 plus 100 equal to 500. And 700 level of income, consumption is 450, investment is 100. So it will get 550. This line expresses that at the level of income, these are the aggregate demands. Now it is clear, aggregate demands. Similarly, we have already known according to Keynes, aggregate supply equal to consumption plus saving. Consumption plus saving. C plus S equal to S. C plus S equal to AS. That is the aggregate supply. C is 100 at the level of zero level of income, and S is minus 100. C plus S is 100 plus into minus 100 equal to 0. Similarly, C is 150, consumption 150, saving is minus 50 at the level of 100 level of income. So 150 plus minus 50 equal to 100. At the level of 200 level of income, consumption is 200, investment is 100, 0 is the saving, so 200 plus 0 equal to 200. Similarly, 300 level of income, consumption is 250, saving is 50 equal to 300. 400 level of income, consumption is 300, saving is 100 equal to the 400. And 500 level of income, consumption is 350, saving is 150, this will be the 450. 600 level of income, 400 consumption, 200, saving equal to 350 plus 150 equal to 500. 350 plus 150 equal to 500, and 600 level of income, consumption is 400, savings 200 equal to 600, and 700 level of income, consumption is 450, savings 250 equal to 700. Now observe this table very clearly. Income, employment, consumption, investment, saving, consumption plus investment equal to aggregate demand, consumption saving equal to aggregate supply. Now it is clear because we have already discussed individually aggregate demand curve, aggregate supply curve, or aggregate demand equal to consumption investment curve, aggregate demand equal to consumption curve plus investment curve, aggregate supply equal to consumption plus saving curve. Both the curves we have already discussed detail. Now we will here find out the equilibrium by taking that aggregate demand curve and aggregate supply curve, where that AD and SAS will be equal. Come to our tables. At what point that aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply? See it here. Can you say that at what level of income aggregate demand equal to aggregate supply? This is that 400 level. Aggregate demand is 400, aggregate supply is 400. This is the situation where AD equal to S. Before that, AD and AS. AD is the 200, 0 is the aggregate supply. AD is the 250, AS is the 100. AD is 300, AS is the 200, AD is 350, AS is the 300. It means 200 is greater than 0, 250 is greater than 100, 300 is greater than 200, 350 is greater than 300. So from this table we can say that before that AD is greater than AS. After the 400 level of income, AD is 450, AS 500. AD is 500, AS is 600. AD is 550, AS is 700. It means that 500 is more than 450, 600 is more than 500, 700 is more than 550. It means AS is greater than AD or AD is less than AS. Now, see, what is the level of income? 0 level of income, aggregate supply is 0. 100 level of income, AS is also 100. 200 level of income, AS is the 200. 300 level of income is the 300 level of aggregate supply. 400 level of income, 400 is the aggregate supply. 500 level of income, 500 is the aggregate supply. 600 level of income, 600 is the aggregate supply. 700 level of income, 700 is the aggregate supply as per my table. But wherever one situation, Y is 400, Y equal to aggregate demand equal to aggregate supply. So this situation, Y equal to aggregate demand is consumption plus investment, S equal to consumption plus saving. So we can say that AD equal to consumption plus investment and AS equal to consumption plus saving. In the equilibrium cases, this is that y equal to as, and if AD equal to AS, it means consumption plus investment equal to consumption plus saving. C is both side cancel, therefore I equal to S. It means here is I is 100, S is 100. I equal to S. Before this, investment is 100, saving is minus 100. Investment is 100, saving is minus 50. Investment is 100, saving is 0. Investment is 100, saving is 50. So 100 is greater than minus 100, 100 is greater than minus 50, 100 is greater than 0, 100 is greater than 50. So it means in this case I is greater than S. After that, situation is that here is that I equal to S. After that, 100 level of investment, saving is 150. 100 level of investment, saving is 200. 100 level of income, saving is 250. It means saving is greater than investment or investment is less than. So we may write here investment is less than saving. Now it is clear. This is that up to the 400 level of income, AD is greater than S, I is greater than S. 400 level of income, AD equal to AS, that is investment equal to saving. And after that 400 level of income, AD is less than AS or investment is less than S. So this table indicates in such way that equilibrium position where I equal to S and AD equal to S. I equal to S and AD equal to S. Before that, I is greater than S, AD is greater than S. And after the 400 level of income, I is less, AD is less. Now, this table can be plotted in the diagram. This table can be plotted in the diagram. O X and this is O1. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. This is O x-axis, level of income. Y-axis, consumption, investment, saving, or AD and AS. This is 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Now, first of all, we'll draw that investment line. At zero level of income, this is that investment curve. Whatever the income, investment. This is called the autonomous investment curve. Then I will draw that saving curve. This is that minus 100, minus 200. Zero level of income, minus 100. and 100 level of income minus 50, 200 level of income, 200 level of income, saving is 0. 300 level of income, saving is 50. 400 level of income, saving is 100. 500 level of income, saving is 150. 600 level of income, saving is 200. 700 level of income, saving is 250. It means the curve goes this is called the saving curve. So in this diagram, 400 level of income, saving equal to E. At that 400 level of income. 400 level of income, saving equal to investment or investment equal to saving. Now I will draw that aggregate demand curve. 0 level of income, aggregate demand is 200. 100 level of income, aggregate demand is 250. 300 level of income, aggregate demand is 350. 300. And 400 level of income, aggregate demand is 400. 500 level of income, aggregate demand is 450. And 600 level of income, aggregate demand is 500. And 700 level of income, 500. That aggregate demand, which is consumption plus investment. And I will draw that aggregate supply. 0, 0, 100, 100, 200, 200, 300, 300, 400, 400, 500, 500, 600. So now the curve is like this. The aggregate supply curve, which is that consumption percent. I draw here two lines. One is that aggregate demand curve, another is that aggregate supply curve. One is that aggregate demand curve, another is that aggregate supply curve. AD and AS. Here, this point AD equal to AS. In this point, that is 400 level of income. That is the level of 400 level of income. 400 level of income. Addition. AD equal to AS, AS equal to I. This point is to be called that break-even point, or it is to be called that full employment situations. So if zero level of income is 0, this is the 10 lakh employment, this is the 20 lakh employment, 30 lakh, 40 lakh, 50 lakh, 60 lakh, 70 lakh, 80 lakh, like this. So employment is, this is to be shown as that employment. It means 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 lakh, 60 lakh, the employment is going on increasing. Aggregate supply is increasing. Aggregate demand is also going to increase. So at the level of 400 level of income, AD equal to AS and saving equal to investments. And before that, I was going to discuss saving equal to investment. So before this, here that AD is greater than AS and here AD is less than AS. Or one thing you can compare here, that C, I was going to say, consumption and investment and saving. I and S, this is that up to this, when we compare this one, I is greater than S, and when we will compare this one, I is less than S. So when AD is greater than S, I is greater than S, investment is more than that saving line, this is that saving line, and this is the investment line. So up to this, I is greater than S. So here AD is greater than S means I is greater than S. After the full employment situation, that after the 400 level of income, these situations which is saving is greater than investments or I is less than S. So here is that I is less than S. So it means two situations we compare here. One is AD is greater than AS up to that full employment situations, or after the full employment situation AD is less than AS. So when AD is more than AS, it means employment is increasing, consumption is also increasing, investment also remains same, but up to that 400 level of income, AD is greater than S. This time that when AD is more, that is, this is called that excess demand. This is called excess demand, and this is called, after 400 level, this is called excess supply. So these are the different stages I want to state. In this case, we can conclude here that, if I say, this is that AD is greater than AS or I is greater than S, AD equal to AS or I equal to S, and AD is less than AS and I is less than S. So these are the conditions when we can solve it, and this is called that AD equal to AS, where the 400 level of income equal to aggregate demand equal to aggregate supply and saving equal to investment. So this situation is that excess demand, this situation is to be called that excess supply. So today's analysis aggregate demand, aggregate supply, and the full employment situation where that aggregate demand equal to aggregate supply and saving equal to investment or an investment equal to saving, or below this AD and AS equal, when the AD is more than AS, that is called excess demand, and above this break-even point or the full employment situation, aggregate supply is more than that aggregate demand, or AD is less than aggregate supply. If that aggregate supply is more than aggregate demand, that is also called the excess supply. So we'll go in detail what do we mean by excess demand, what do we mean by excess supply in the next periods, and what is the effect when the aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply and when aggregate supply is more than aggregate demand. That we will also discuss in the next period. Please go through your books and make that note, and you will show me in the next period when we will start that live classes. And I request you, please go through your books and bring your notes copies and copies. Which work will be given, you have to do at the spot. You should not say that I have no pen or I have no copies. Please bring your copies and books on the live classes. Thanks to all of you.